Hello, welcome to this demonstration of my Houdini assignment. I will guide you through the parameters and the network in general. So let's resize this so it fits properly. Here we go. When you open the file, you should see a preview in your display port of the terrain and the curve on which it is drawn. Here in the network you'll see three digital assets: a temple, a road bridge, and a greeble. And as project file, it has the landscape road deformation. So when you select the temple, let's start with temple. Well, it's pretty straightforward. It's just temple, and the attributes here, or the inputs or the parameters. You can change the shape from a curve base to a grid, from a grid to a circle, so you have diversity in the shape which you're using. With a curve, press enter and you see these points up here. Each point can be moved, translated in X and Z. It's recommended you use X and Z because the Y gives some artifacts, which is not great. It follows the shape, but doesn't work that well. So I recommend you use the X and Z. Here in the stairs tab you can set the amount of steps you want. Again, going too far will give you artifacts, but a temple with a lot of stairs should be pretty big. Oh yeah, when this happens you should press the node again, and if you want to select other points you should hover over it and hold it. To use the center of the handle, just turn on the grid so it snaps to X and Z and it doesn't deform in Y. Oops. So like this, so you can adjust the temple in any size you want. Okay, to the columns. Here you can set the column height. And you can set the width. The density of how many columns you want. It creates enough columns depending on how big your temple is. So let's say I will make it very big. You can see points are being added, or columns are being added. Here you can change the style of the columns. So if I zoom in, change this again, reasonable size. Here you can see different kinds of column or ornaments for the columns, and here you can change the division of the columns if you want a more boxy straight columns or a more rounded one. That's up to you. The roof is separated in two pieces. The first piece can be manipulated and the second piece. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it for the temple. Yeah, let's go to the greeble. If you press spacebar H, you can zoom in right onto the greeble. Here you can change between a grid or a box. You can change the box size to whatever you want. It's pretty okay size right now. The divisions can be changed as well. You should be aware of if you make the divisions too big, it's gonna take a lot of time to cook. So, oh, there we go. It's gonna take a lot of time to cook, so that's something you probably don't want. If you switch between the box and the grid, options get grayed out, and here you can see the grid size set to 1, set it to 10, get a bigger grid, and this you can set to 8 for example. Between 1 and 8 goes fairly quickly, or 1 and 10. After 10, let's say 15, it takes time to cook, as you can see. Depending on your system, of course. So, the style of the extrudes can be switched around between a slanted one and a straight one. I prefer the box because it looks better, looks more of an alien kind of ship or an alien kind of object. So it does take a while to cook. There's my straight points now. See? With the time slider you can... Oh, that was not a good idea. Let's say 222. So with the time slider you can change the randomization. Like that. So now onto the terrain. Terrain, as default you should have this view, turn off the grid, which is normalized in X and Z, so it fits, so it's small and you can manipulate the points quickly. So each point represents a curve. So if I change this, you can see the black changing position, and this should manipulate the canyon instead of a road. I made a canyon. So here in the options you can choose between the greeble switch, so you can use a placeholder box, and the curve preview is this view, and the end result will cook the end result, of course. So let's try that. When it's done cooking it will size up to match the row bridge. So if you press spacebar H you see the whole view. This is the terrain with the canyon. In the terrain you'll see placeholders for trees, rocks, places where the temple will be placed. So if you switch the temple to the digital asset, it will input your temple. These trees are fairly big compared to the temple, which is fine. You can that can be tweaked. So here you can scatter vegetation and scatter the temple. And you can scatter the greeble, which I didn't enable, so enable that. Greeble is randomized into the terrain. One's here, one is there, and one is there. It's not always 3, it's random, so you can switch those around too. See, now it's here. The terrain controls, I highly recommend using the curve preview, so this goes quicker. So you can change the size of the canyon. You can have it on 0, which is a bit weird to have. You can change the frequency, distortion in X, Y, and Z. So change this. Distortion will change based upon a model. These are the terrain curve coordinates. So yes, this is the end result again. And it changed a fair bit, as you can see. Let's go to the row bridge. So let's do that separately. So here you can manipulate the position of the row bridge. You can put it in the center of the world space. So where's the grid? The grid is far away. You can change the log size of the ends. So you can make it higher. The rope will adjust to that. Thicker, broader. And you can switch between a low poly, which is for the preview, and a high poly, which requires much more time to to cook. So if you have a really long row bridge, it might take a decent amount of time. So yeah, that's basically my Houdini project. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.